Oh, man, we are back, but this time we have a special guest host. It's Italy Jet and Pete Collins. Pete.
What an intro.
Pete, my man, how are you doing?
Doing fine, especially after Crochet looking like he did this afternoon. Although you can't watch him. I mean, how do you watch the Red Sox games these days? What is this malarkey? Sorry to get off on a negative note, but
actually, that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you right now, because I know me and Leslie have talked about how we watch our Red Sox games. Where would you usually watch your Red Sox games? Is it like Nesson?
Nesson.
Okay, so Nesson. Sometimes I go on MLB.TV, so they have like a spring training package, but sometimes they don't get all the games. So sometimes you gotta, I guess.
So you non-Bostonians, you got your you got your package ready to go because you're locked into watching the Sox. So you're like, this is a foregone conclusion. Those of us who live in the area expect our TV to just have the Red Sox on it. Especially when you have Nesson. So you go on Nesson 360 and the Red Sox are on. Great. Let me go to Nesson 360 and you're watching Bruins highlights or like Charlie Moore fishing, and it just gets me riled up.
Charlie Moore fishing.
Legit. The Red Sox are playing spring training and Nesson is showing Charlie Moore freaking out about the fish he just caught.
Oh, that's so funny, man. That's very accurate for him. Let's just be honest. But I mean, Crochet looked phenomenal. Everyone seems like it seems like even players like Eaton and Hickey, Garcia, it's just nice to see everyone producing and everyone take advantage of the opportunity, especially what Yoshida has done today. Holy cow. I love what I'm seeing from him, but do you think with Yoshida's role, do you still want him as a DH? Do you want him to play in the outfield a little bit more? What is your take with the Yoshida situation right now?
For Yoshida to be on the Boston Red Sox, he has to be able to play the outfield. He can't be the DH. But the problem is he can't play the outfield. Therefore, he can't be on the Boston Red Sox long term, which is why, if you believe the rumors, he was packaged with Casas to go to Seattle, and that deal fell through, right? Because they didn't want Casas hitting in Seattle, is the rumor. But Yoshida was like that. You have to take Yoshida. You have to take his contract. You have to take him away from us. Like, look, essentially a throw-in dump. Like, just get rid of this guy. Like when they threw David Price in the Betts trade, Dick, you just need to take him from us. Like that will be good enough if you just take him away from our team. So that's not great. Lenny DiNardo was on your podcast, said he's not going to start the season on the roster. Alex Cora almost confirmed it today, said he's ready to DH if the season started today, but he's only throwing from 45 feet, which is very early in the throwing program. So Yoshida just isn't ready to play the outfield this year. He's not. I agree with Lenny in his assessment that he's probably not even going to be on the team to start the year. If you can't play the outfield at all just because of your arm, then you're just not ready to be on this team as an outfielder. You can't be locked in as a DH, as a 280 hitter who hits 10 home runs.
Yeah, fair points. For me, I think I'm just ready to see what happens, because there are people that are in spring training that are becoming more and more like, oh, we got to watch out for these people now. Like there's more and more people every day. Like look at the Trace Thompson situation. Like it's becoming really cool to see. I mean, look at Bregman right now. And even in the outfield with Abreu coming back with the GI issue, and that's why I put in one of our notes. The young guys are really stepping up. And I know it's just spring training, right? There's a lot of things that could happen. There's a lot of things that come into play. But as of right now, for you in spring training, Pete, who is the person, especially in the outfield and infield, that you are like they have a shot at making this team right away?
I mean, out of the young guys, out of the young prospects, Roman Anthony's probably your only shot, right? And then you mentioned it with the Abreu, what is it, gastrointestinal issue, right? Like that's kept him out. He hasn't been able to practice with the team at all. Opening day readiness, we'll see where he is physically. We can help him with the at-bats. This is Cora talking here. I think the physical part of it, he lost a little bit, some mass. Hopefully he can regain that and be ready. Like that doesn't sound too confident from the manager that he's going to be on the roster. So that does open up an outfield spot, especially when we were just talking about Yoshida probably not being able to play the outfield. So it gives him a shot there. He's the best prospect in the entire farm system. That helps him make the team too. Although he was a high school senior in 2022. So that kind of scares me a little bit. Like you were just playing high school ball. You really don't have any pro experience at all. But he fits the need of the team in the outfield, whereas like the other guys being infielders, sorry, you just really don't have a shot of making this team just because of what's ahead of you, which is great. It's a great problem to have when you have a veteran presence or good players ahead of the young players that keep them from coming up. It's like that's fine. That's a fine problem to have if you're a Boston Red Sox fan.
Especially with a lot of noise that Bregman's been making, especially with Campbell right now. I mean, it seems like everyone's bought in. Everyone seems that it's going in a good direction as of right now in spring training. I know in one of my notes I want to talk about Devers. Devers needs more time. Needs more time to get in shape, more time for at bats. Damn, I just keep thinking like, what's the holdup for me? I keep thinking about this, and I'm just like, is there something else that they're not telling us? Is there still an injury going on, or is this just, he's coming off vacation and he's just not ready yet? What do you think about this?
It makes no sense, right? Like
It just doesn't make anything.
They shut him down end of 2024, discomfort in his shoulder. They give him tests. They find nothing wrong. The team calls it inflammation. And then you have a whole winter off. You're like, all right, inflammation. Just don't do anything. Just hang out. Like literally, like go to the DR and chill with David Ortiz. That's all you have to do this winter. Instead he comes back and he can't start baseball activities, or he starts them late at least. He can't play in spring training games. Alex Cora was quoted, Rafi's not starting tomorrow. This was the other day. Asked me for more live BP. So maybe the thought here is he's just not ready to face live hitting yet. And like physically he's ready, but like his approach isn't ready yet. So he doesn't want to go out there and, he wants more BP. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with excuses for Rafael Devers right now, but as like the leader of the team, you can't, right? Especially after he says I'm the third baseman. And again, if you sign a long-term contract and the GM at the time says, hey, you're locked in at third base, what do you go about work? You go to work and you think I'm locked in at third base. New GM comes in and says, yeah, you're not locked in at third base and we're signing Alex Bregman. That would bug me a little bit too. Like I get his point of view.
And then he just goes away and disappears for 10 days. So
yeah, and he's like, yeah, my shoulder hurts.
Right.
Tell me my shoulder doesn't hurt, Red Sox. My shoulder hurts. I'm Rafael Devers. What are you going to do about it? And then a little bit is like, yeah, what are we going to do about it? Probably nothing.
Oh my God, I love that. That's an easy way for me to go into this next one. Casas. What do you think about Casas so far in spring training right now? It seems like he's doing okay, but it's still time will tell for me if I'm on board or not. What do you think about Casas right now?
If anyone watches spring training and makes a takeaway, like, oh, this player is going to have a good year because of spring training, or this player is going to have a bad year.
Yeah, especially with all the ups and downs of spring training.
Yeah, just slap them in the face is what I was about to say. Like, that person's dumb. Like, we can't watch spring training and then go, this is how they're going to do this year, right? Like, pitchers will throw 4 changeups in a row just to work on their changeup. Nobody throws 4 changeups in a row in a real MLB baseball game, like ever. Maybe just to freak out the batters. Like, what the hell did he do? Like, just a rare anomaly, though, right? So people are willing to do stuff. Sometimes they're like, hey, listen, I want to work on the inside fastball, so I'm not going to swing until I get an inside fastball. So you strike out looking on an outside fastball because you're not up there. That's not what you're doing that at bat. So you would never take an approach like that in a real game. So I don't take anything from these games. I just want to look at real games. And Casas, if he can stay on the field, hit 25 dingers, give me 75 ribbies, bat like 270, 260, like fine, that's acceptable. But like when you win championships, you have like great players on your team. And I'm just wondering who's going to step up and be that great player this year. I mean, we had Duran last year, right? Like, whoa, cannonball. Like who's the cannonball? Rafaela last year. Like there's some cannonballs last year. Abreu with the gold glove. Like who's going to be that this year? We need that. Is it going to be Trevor Story? Could it be a Trevor Story, a player like that?
Shit, I hope so. I mean, honestly, it's just it's getting to the point where he needs to start producing and not have another injury. And if that continues to keep, well, I mean, shoot, we could say that about really anybody on this team with injuries, to be fair. But
Casas, just like to the point you were bringing up, Casas needs to stay on the field too.
Casas, it seems like even Rob Refschneider needs to stay on the field a little more too. But I know he's just a utility guy backup, but he had some injuries last year, especially with Abreu's GI issues right now. I'm a little worried. I know he's back, but I'm a little worried that because listen, I have bunch of GI issues. So I understand what man's going through, but it's tough because you are going into it. I mean, he's got a lot of competition with him right now. especially with Roman Anthony coming up. So it's going to be interesting to see if he even gets traded before.
I mean, another guy with injury is Marcelo Meyer. Like you were talking about, Story gets hurt. Meyer's been hurt every single year that he's played baseball at the pro level. So you have some shortstop injury issues. The whole Red Sox team has some injury issues. So, I mean, that's the name of the game in any sport, right? Games played,
For
health.
sure.
Yeah, if you're because everyone's excited right now about the Red Sox. You brought that up at the top of the show. Yeah, everyone should be. If there's a team out there that like, oh man, this season's gonna stink. Like you didn't do things right in the offseason. Like we should be happy we have Bregman. The pitching that we added, we should be thrilled about. The young players we have, we should be happy about all of that. Now, do they all play? Do they all live up to their expectations? It's to be seen. But yeah, there should be excitement right now, as long as everyone stays healthy, which they just won't.
And for me, the description of the episode is going in the right direction. What I mean by that is, even though I love what I'm seeing from the hitting, I love more, in my personal opinion, going in the right direction is the pitching.
100%.
I think I've almost loved every single pitcher that has produced, especially you got Justin Wilson, Slayton, Quentin Priester played great the other day. I think we lost that game, but Luis Guerrero, and then you have Crochet the today. I know Cutter Crawford's going to be on the injured list in the beginning of the season, especially game 1. I still have high hopes for him. Chapman has produced. Walker Buehler was a stud in his opener. For me, I think if anyone's going to look at going in a good direction, especially with the pitching coach that we got from Tampa Bay and Bailey, what he's been doing, that's the thing that I am looking forward to the most is the pitching for me. What do you think?
I mean, Crochet is a stud, and he knows it, and that's why he won't sign an extension, right? Like he's the pig, and he's nasty, and he throws absolute flame. He has 14 strikeouts in 6 1/3 innings. That's ridiculous. Like do the math, right? 6 times 3, 18. There's been 19 outs he's gotten. 14 of them have been strikeouts. That's ridiculous. I'm all in on Crochet. Someone I'm not all in on is Buehler. I mean, here, outside of 2021, every single year of his career, his ERA has increased.
Yeah, true.
This year, then he got worse. Then he got worse. Then he had 2021, fine, great. Cy Young, 4th. Got worse. Right? This year, he's going to get better, because can you do worse than 5.38? No, probably not, right? But, mid 4s with an 8-8, 500 record right around there, that's what I can expect, which doesn't blow me. Like, it doesn't get me excited, right? But, like, his potential, that's why people are excited, right? Because they're like, oh, 2021, he could do that again. Like, and that was like what people were saying last year about Tyler O'Neill. And then he hit 30 dingers, and then he did it. So it's like, hey, sometimes players do have a really good year or perform similar to one of their best years. And like, we need that from Buehler. But like, look at his career and like, tell me that wasn't an anomaly, that 2021 season, more than what you should expect. Like, if you're a gambler, you're not gambling on a 2021 season where he had his career highs.
I mean, yeah, fair point, especially last year as well. I mean, he's been mostly injured, and I know his ERA has been going up, but at the same time, it's streaky. He's just being streaky. And right now, even though it's a positive thing with a positive start, new number, new team, new everything, there's a little bit of hope with him becoming in a new environment, especially the kind of mad dog mentality that the Red Sox Nation loves. For me, even though I am a huge fan of Buehler, everyone, especially Section 10, especially with people that talk at Nesson and you, of course, there's downfalls. There's always downfalls. There's always ups and downs when it comes to Buehler. It kind of makes me a little bit worried of even a little bit of Houck. Houck, in the beginning of the season last year, he was very good, right? Came into the All-Star game, not that great. And then after that. So for me with Tanner Houck, do you think he should be taking that next step? Do you think he should be getting to that? Or do you think it still remains to be seen?
Real quick before Houck, I mean, one of the positives on Buehler is he's a playoff stud. So Patriots, the Red Sox get to the
playoffs. Hernandez. It's like Kike Hernandez being a playoff stud.
Too, right? Get me to the playoffs and give me Walker Buehler. I'm all in on that. But before then, shaky. But yeah, no, Houck, I think a lot of players have had this happen to them before, where they come out the gate, people really don't have tape, don't really know what they do well, and all of a sudden they find something and they dominate for a period of time. And then there's tape, and then the professionals do what professionals do, and they figure out the pitcher, and then they return to base. So do I think Tanner Houck's going to be Cy Young-ish? No. Do I think he'll be the best pitcher on the team? No. Do I think he'll be the second best pitcher on the team? Maybe third. You know, like he's right around there. Yeah, he'll have a good year. I expect right around a 4 ERA. Maybe he can get right below it, 3.9 something, right? Which is great. That's great. That's what you want. I just think people look at him and go, Tanner Houck, he's going to strike out a ton of people and go 8 innings and no, like you saw that at the beginning of last year. Think more tail end of last year as opposed to front end of last year.
Hey man, I love it. So we got upcoming games. So Blue Jays, as we know, played today already. We got the Marlins. So we have Marlins, we got Twins, and then Braves, Phillies, and then Wednesday and Thursday as well. We got Twins again, Mets again. Friday, Marlins. Yeah, a lot of back-to-back games in familiar places.
22 days. That's the number you need to focus on. That's how many days until we're playing real baseball against the Texas Rangers.
And that's the only thing that matters, but also just no injuries, knock on wood to everybody.
Like all these people with the flu, that's great. Get the flu right now. Don't get the flu in 20. Get it out of your system.
How crazy was that? It's just like, oh, deja vu with that.
Jeez. I mean, it happens every spring training, right? All these guys from all around, they all come together. They're all in the same locker room. They call it the hot tub sickness, right? Everyone gets in the hot tub together and coughs all over each other, and they all get the flu at the same time. So
facts. Or COVID.
Who's Agent Zero? That's what I want to know.
Who's bringing flu A?
Yeah, who brought it around?
The Norris virus? Who's bringing all that shit? Shoot, who's bringing chickenpox afterwards? I don't know.
Right? But is that what Devers has? Is that why he's not out there?
That's true though. Before we end the pod, when it comes to this team and how Cora has managed this team so far, going in spring training, handling the whole Devers and Bregman situation, do you think he's doing a good job as of right now, saying what he's like basically saying right now, or do you think it's still too early because we haven't gotten the season? There's still more spring training left.
As of right now, I think he's doing a fine job. What will happen next will be like the true judge, like you said. Like we need to see how it all plays out. Like here's a scenario, right? Is Devers not ready to start the season? Therefore, you start Bregman at third, and Bregman looks filthy.
Bregman has probably been our best player in spring training,
right? Now. But I'm just talking with the glove, right? Like we know offensively, Devers is going to smash Bregman as far as offensive numbers, right? Like, but let's just say with the glove, like Bregman is just clearly filthy over at third, and you're like, I don't want to see Devers go back to third and kick Bregman out of where he's being filthy and go over to second. Maybe whoever's playing second is hitting the lights off the ball, and you're like, I can't kick that guy out of the lineup by moving Breg. Like I want some drama like that where like good things are happening, and you're like, listen, Devers, he's nasty at third and hitting 330. The guy at second is hitting bombs. Whoever's playing it, you got to DH or you got to go to first because Casas starts the season batting .050, and it's like he can't stay at first. You need to go over there and take that bat out of his hands. Like that could be interesting to see what happens, which might be a good incentive for Devers to get back on the field.
And where the hell has Grissom been?
Right.
Like that's kind of that's not alarming, like too much of alarming, but especially what we traded for Chris Sale for him, and he's supposed to be this really good guy that plays good base, good hitter, especially when he came from Atlanta. Supposed to be good with like in the Red Sox stadium. And the downfall last year, and now right now, I don't even. It's like, is he going to start in the minors? Like, is Campbell going to take his place? Like, is Meyer going to take his place? I don't know. It's like the high hopes for Grissom still there, but it's kind of sketch right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what to make on Vaughn Grissom.
I don't think anybody really does, but it's a warning to me.
Yeah, so I'm looking up right now. I mean, Ian Brown says, I really think Vaughn Grisham's going to start the season as the second baseman. He's pretty tapped in when it comes to stuff like that, and he was retweeting something Lou Merloni had put out there, that he said some of the reaction to this is laughable. It's just to point out that if Campbell was indeed the second baseman, he would be taking reps at second base and only second base. They want versatility, flexibility, and I think they would move around a guy they have penciled in as a starter, which is some good points being made there, right? So like the second base position is in flux. They really haven't locked anyone in there, and they might be waiting on the Devers domino. I think that might be it. Do we need Bregman at third? Yeah. Do we need to find a solution at second? Or is it Bregman second and Devers third, and we need to find a utility infielder as the fourth? Like, what do we need? I don't even know what we need on this team right now because I don't know who's going to play yet, but who's ready to start the season. So there's a lot of roster spots that are in flux.
It's every single one of them, especially with Rafael having a good spring. And then the back of the pitching is doing, all of them's doing pretty well. It's one of those things where no one is safe. You can't just say then, like, who's going to be locked in at this certain position in the outfield.
Duran's locked in.
Duran, you think Duran's locked in at center field?
Left field.
Yeah.
Duran's locked in. I think Rafael is locked in. I would say Story's locked in at shortstop. I would say Casas is locked in at first base. Bregman's locked into the infield. Devers is...
Yeah.
And there's a couple locks on this team. I would say the question marks fall in the depth, and I would say they fall in the bullpen. Like, who's closing on this? That's huge. That's probably the biggest question mark.
Chapman or Hendricks.
Chapman, Hendricks. Those are the two I would say most likely ones. But there's some like dark horses out there too. Like it's a true question mark. Let's put it that way.
I just feel like there's more. There's something else going on. I just don't feel like confident with the lock-ins yet. And you brought up some really good points, and people probably think I'm crazy for saying it, but and I know they would and will. I just want to remain to be seen with all of it, because I just
it's always that though, right? Especially this early.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I feel like there's still. Do you think we're still going to make a move, like trade sign? I still feel like that even is in more like skeptic.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the possibility, but I feel like this roster is probably what you're going to see, barring a major injury.
Yeah, true.
You see a big injury happen somewhere, and you have a void, and you can fill it via a trade. Yeah, but like I would hope that they're not still banking on a trade to complete their roster. That would be a little alarming for me.
Yeah, true.
Slatton could be one. Could be a dark horse closer.
Yeah, I agree. I think Slatton could be a good one. I think middle innings Whitlock.
Yep.
Right there. But Pete, any final thoughts?
No, just do we swear on this podcast?
Sure.
Fuck Aroldis Chapman. I hate that guy. I can't stand him on our team. If he's our closer and he does well, it's gonna really annoy me. I think he's a piece of shit. Locker right by the door too, so everyone that comes in and out of the door has to walk by his locker and piss him off, just like I like it.
Man, Pete, you never disappoint, man. You never disappoint. I love it. For me, as long as Chapman does well, I know everyone is personality. I get it. But for me, as long as he does well,
life choice is more than personality. Could be a great guy.
Yeah. Well, who knows, right? But at the same time, I do understand why you feel. A lot of people feel the way you feel about all this situation. For me, pitching. That's why I think it's going a good direction. For me, I think the back of bullpen finally have some pitching depth, I feel like now. And then we'll just see what happens with the infield and outfield. You did bring up some good locks. Me just not thinking about it, and now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I could see that. But I still feel like I just can't underestimate this team. There's always something popping up. So for me, I'm just like, okay, that makes sense. Pete put the question marks in, put the locks in, but then I'm like, I still want to play with the board a little bit. So for me, we'll see what happens. But guys, follow Pete right here on Twitter, Pete_Collins_. He is the guy at BSZ. Really good at all the shows when it comes to all Boston sports. Me, Italy Jet, right here. Yep, that's what I mean. Right there. There we go. but Leslie will be back next week. Pete is going to come back maybe next week and maybe the week after that. We've got to get our boy DC on eventually. It's going to be a fun time. It's a fun time to be a Red Sox fan, whether which way you take it. But anyway, guys, Love you. This is the Dirty Wire Dispatch. Peace.